Alright, so we're going to be doing the Dead by Daylight Killer Chase perk tier list, and this is going to be any perk that activates in chase or just helps out with the chase. So first up, we got Superior Anatomy. This is from Wesker. Anytime a survivor vaults within 8 meters of your location, fast vaults, you basically fast vault yourself when you take the next window at 40% increased speed. This is really nice. It can actually get you some hits that you wouldn't normally, and is really just a really solid perk that I feel like is heavily slept on because of the existence of Bamboozle, which totally shuts down the window. But this is also a really solid perk and could be even nastier when combined with Bamboozle. I'm actually going to put this one at A tier because I feel like people kind of heavily underestimate just how big of a difference that 40% can make. It can honestly be huge. And the cooldown on it's not too long, so yeah. Up next, we got Game of Foot from Skull Merchant. Anytime you hit a survivor, they become the obsession. And then whenever you kick something, you become 5% faster, right? Yep, okay, I was right. So whenever you're chasing the obsession and you kick something, you gain 5% haste for 10 seconds. This is honestly very bad. This is going to be our first D tier perk. Well, I mean, what is there to say about it? You have to be chasing the obsession, so right there it's already limited to the obsession. It does have the secondary effect of where whoever you spend the most time chasing, if you hit them, they'll become the new obsession, so it's an obsession switcher, but even then it's not that good. And then you drop chase to kick a pallet or a generator, and then you gain 5% haste for 10 seconds to try and catch back up. You could make it 10% haste for 15 seconds, and maybe it would be C tier, but the fact that it's limited to an obsession still isn't great. It's just not worth it. Up next is Force Hesitation. This is from the Singularity. Man, whenever you down a survivor, all other survivors within 16 meters of the location of the down survivor are slowed by 20% for 10 seconds, which is kind of huge. I feel like this is a very heavily slept on perk, but 16 meters, like, it's big, but it's not that big, you know what I mean? But it can be really nice because if you're playing Huntress and you land a cross map down, there's 2 survivors on that generator and you down one of them, the one by the generator, the other one by the generator is going to be 20% slower for 10 seconds, so that'll give you time to catch up. But I mean, I feel like survivors just don't really stick together all that much. It just really depends, you know. Sometimes this gets a lot of value, sometimes it doesn't. I will say if you're in a basement scenario or even an end-game unhooking scenario, there's pretty much no winning with this perk in play because you're 20% slower. There's just not really much you can do against it, but it is a very strong perk that I feel like people sleep on a lot. Up next is Hubris. This is from the Knight. Anytime you stun the killer by any means, so that includes flashlight saves, wiggling off the killer's shoulder, pallet stunning them, and head-on stunning them, and so on, you're exposed for 20 seconds. The problem is 20 seconds isn't very long, so this could be great on Slinger. This could be great on Spirit. People who can catch up quick and still M1, but, I mean, Slinger can't catch up quick, but, you know, he can shoot you and reel you in, right? I feel like once survivors find out about it, though, oh, man, where do we put it? Once survivors find out about it, they pre-drop every single pallet on the planet. It never fails. They just dump every pallet immediately. It's very frustrating to deal with. And that's why whenever I'm bringing Hubris, I'll usually bring like Brutal Strength or something like that to try and kind of help out, right? Don't get me wrong, an Instad Down is good and you'll get 1 or 2, which is kind of a huge help, but after that, they're just going to be pre-dropping everything. All right, we got Bamboozle from Clown. Easy S tier. Whenever you vault a window, it's blocked for 16 seconds. I mean, this is such a good perk. I'm surprised it hasn't been nerfed because if a survivor decides they want to run you to Shack and you vault Shack window, now they have to give up the pallet immediately. They have no choice. Either they have to leave Shack to save the pallet or they have to give up the pallet. You know, it's a win-win either way. And some maps, Bamboozle's not going to do anything. Like some of the Azarov maps where there's literally, no joke, probably 20 to 30 windows. Not really going to do much. You might be able to shut down one loop. But then they could just chain it to another window that's like 2 feet away on a different loop. So yeah, but other than that, the vast majority of these maps, it is astonishing how good it is. And the fact that almost every single map has a killer shack, you know, with a few exceptions here and there, and this perk completely shuts down killer shack, which is such a strong loop for survivors. So yeah, easy S tier. Up next, we got Hex Crowd Control from Trickster. This one is definitely better than what it used to be. It used to be whenever a survivor fast vaulted a window, it would be blocked for 60 seconds. So if a survivor hit 7 windows in a row, all of them would be blocked for a minute. But now it's the last 5 windows are blocked permanently, which I think is better. It's still really solid, but again, it has the problem on Azerov's. I mean, it helps. It makes a bigger difference than Bamboozle. But, you know, there's just so many damn windows on that map. It's tough. And, you know, you still got to deal with pallets. And it's a hex perk, so it can get erased immediately. I'll still put it in the B tier. Just because it is, I feel like it is a really solid chase perk that's kind of slept on. I mean, people made a bunch of videos about it when it got its change, you know. But now I just feel like it doesn't really have that high of a pick rate. So, yeah. Up next, we got Brutal Strength from Trapper. I consider this a chase perk just because it helps kick pallets, you know what I mean? You get back and chase faster. I mean, you kick gens faster, you kick walls faster, you kick everything faster. That being said, it's way too slow. I don't know what they were thinking when they made it 20%. It got nerfed. It used to be 40, I believe, a long time ago. 20% isn't that much faster. I will put it in C tier though, because it applies to everything. It applies to kicks on gens, walls, and pallets. And I mean, it is nice to get through a pallet a little bit quicker, but yeah, it definitely could be buffed easily. Up next, we got Fearmonger from Demogorgon. This one's kind of tough. I think I'll put it in A tier. It's almost S. Whenever survivors are working on a generator, they'll be blind and exhausted. So once they let go of the generator though, a 5-second timer starts and it goes down. But obviously, exhaustion, you know, if you use a sprint burst at the beginning of the match and you have your 40-second cooldown timer, and then you hop on a generator with Fearmonger, it's going to be stuck at 40 seconds or stuck at 35 seconds. You know, so that 5-second timer doesn't really matter when it comes to exhaustion. The blindness effect, it can be good. You know, it can prevent survivors from letting go when you have pain res in a DMS combo. So Fearmonger can keep them blind so they can't see when you're hooking the survivor, which could be nice. So you could use pain res, DMS, and Fearmonger for a pretty nasty combo to be guaranteeing a DMS every time. But yeah, them being exhausted, I mean, I feel like Sprint Burst is one of the most popular used exhaustion perks, so there's anytime Fearmonger's in play, I'm always annoyed when I'm a survivor because I use Sprint Burst and I just don't have Sprint Burst for like 90% of the match. This is a very, very good perk, honestly. Is there anything that could stop me from putting it in S? Yeah, I mean, Lithe, Balanced Landing, Dead Hard. You know what I mean? 5 seconds isn't really hard to get back. Yeah, we'll leave it in A. All right, up next we got Dark Arrogance. Let's go ahead and add a row below. And then we'll just put it as black. Or no, we'll do gray so that way you can actually read it. Okay, that's fine. So Dark Arrogance. Probably, I would say without a doubt, the worst chase perk. 20% faster at vaulting a window. Stun 25% longer. Who's going to take this? This is absolutely terrible. Worst perk design ever. Worst perk ever made. No clue what they were thinking about this. I think it's 25% faster. They gave it a little 5% buff to make it a little bit of a better choice. Even then, it's permanent. It doesn't have a cooldown, which is cool, I guess. But who's going to take this over Bamboozle? Why would you ever take Dark Arrogance over Bamboozle? You just wouldn't. It's just not a good idea. 25% isn't enough. Bamboozle's 15. Yes, Arrogance is 15% faster, but I'd rather have the window blocked entirely, completely preventing window text from survivors and things like that. Yeah, it's just an awfully designed perk. Absolutely garbage. And you could just drop the stunned longer downside, and I would probably at that point put it at like C tier. Up next, we got Languid Touch. Anytime a survivor startles a crow within 32 meters of your location, they're exhausted. It's exhausted for 20 seconds. This is actually really good, but I'll put it in B. No, I'll put it at the top of B. The problem is, if a survivor sees you coming, I could sprint burst, and then this does nothing. But other than that, this shuts down pretty much every other perk. This completely shuts down Dead Hard. This completely shuts down Lie. This completely shuts down Balanced Landing. Actually, we're going to knock it up one, to be honest. This is probably the best exhaustion perk, second to Fearmonger. So, yeah. That's from Vecna, by the way. I don't think I said that. All right, up next we have Unbound from the Unknown. You know what? Let's just do this as trash tier. And then we're gonna put Unbound there. Unbound, anytime you injure a survivor for the next 30 seconds, when you vault a window, you'll gain 5% haste for 10 seconds. That's just absolutely garbage. It doesn't even stack either. Maybe you could make something happen if you could vault a window twice and get 10% haste for 10 seconds. Or vault it 3 times for like a triple fake and get 15% haste for 3 seconds. That would be dope. Or 10 seconds. It's just, the activation requirement's too harsh. The benefit to it's trash. Yeah, you're never going to see people using this perk. Up next, we got Hex 2 can play from Chucky. Whenever you get blinded, after 2 times of getting blinded, a random totem becomes a Hex totem, and from then on, every 2 times you get blind or stunned, the survivor who did it to you will be blind for 1.5 seconds. It's a Hex perk. It blinds the survivor. 1.5 seconds isn't very long. I mean, you can kind of just feel your way out of there. Especially if you're getting the blind when you're dropping a pallet, you know, you can just move backwards. Chances are pretty good you're not going to be running into anything. Up next, we got Hex Blood Favor. So anytime you enter a survivor within, is it, yeah, it's 32 meters of where the survivor is injured, all pallets are blocked for 16 seconds. It works very well on 2-story maps. This is honestly a very underrated perk, but it is a Hex perk. Yeah, we'll put it right here. Actually, I'll put it right here. Because this is actually really just such a sinister perk that I feel like a lot of people hate on. I hated on it a lot. This is from Blight, by the way. And honestly, it's such an insane perk that like 32 meters is enough. It didn't used to be 32 meters in the past, in which case it was kind of bad. I wish it lasted a little longer than 16 seconds, something like 20 seconds. But honestly, a very, very good perk. One I use very often whenever I'm running Hex builds. But yeah, definitely a solid perk for sure. Machine Learning from Singularity. This one just got nerfed. It was 60 seconds of 10% haste and undetectable. Now it's 45. It didn't need to be nerfed at all. It got nerfed for some reason. Oof. It requires you to lose a generator. 10% haste for 45 seconds is nice. I'm not hating on that. 45 seconds of undetectable is nice as well. Yeah, we'll put it at the top of B. It kind of requires you to plan out things. Excuse me. Like, you got to kind of know which gen's going to go next to maximize the value out of it. Sometimes you'll get this once or twice a match. Sometimes you'll get it 3 or 4 times a match. More often than not, you're going to get it like twice a match max. You could have easily left it 60 seconds. They didn't. I don't know why, but yeah, we'll leave it there. Up next is Rapid Brutality from the Alien. The Xenomorph. Anytime you enter a survivor, you gain 5% haste for 10 seconds. My problem with the Rapid Brutality is you're in a weapon wipe for 2.7 seconds. So it's basically 5% haste for 7 seconds. If you down the survivor, it's not really going to do anything at all unless you're going after somebody else. I mean, you'll have 5% haste for 3 seconds when you're going to hook a survivor, I guess. Really shines when combined with Rapid Brutality. On its own, I don't know. It's really solid on certain killers, but other than that, I think I like it better than Brutal Strength. Yeah, I'll put it right there at the bottom or at the top of C. Up next, we got Spirit Fury from the Spirit. Anytime you kick a pallet, you get like it's not really a token. It's like a half counter. You kick 2 pallets. Next time they drop a pallet on your dome, the pallet breaks instantly, which is nice. So once they find out you have it, though, they're pretty much never gonna pallet stun you ever again. A lot of people try to use this with Hubris, and then it's just pre-drop central. Where do I put it? I think I'll put it right there, right above Hubris, just because they just pre-drop every pallet. It's just how it goes. They just pre-drop, 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 and it's very frustrating to deal with. That's why I don't really use it that often. Up next, we got Batteries Included from Chucky. You're 5% faster when near a completed generator. I'll go ahead and throw this at the bottom of D. Because generally you don't want to be chasing near completed generators. I've had several instances where like survivors start on the opposite side of the match and they pop 2 gens in like a minute, you know, which is pretty typical. And then they try to bait me away from gens that are being worked on over to an area where there's no gens at all. And if I had batteries included, maybe I'd be slightly more inclined to go try and chase over there since I'd be moving at 115. The meter radius is way too small. Way too small. You need to double it, honestly, to get me to want to leave generators that are being worked on to go chase by completed generators. Maybe double the radius of it and make it 10%, and then it would be like a B to A tier perk that I would actually use. But now, it just really encourages a terrible idea of going to chase by completed generators. You never want to be spending time near completed generators. It's a waste. Never loop near it. You always loop near generators that are being worked on so you can disrupt multiple people and stop gens from being progressed. Up next, we got Lightborne from the Hillbilly. What do I say? It's really nice, the fact that you can't be blinded in chase, so you can just chase, kick a pallet, keep moving. You can't get blinded when you get picked up, or when you pick up survivors, so that's really solid. At the end of the day, though, I think there's much better options. I think it's kind of a wasted perk slot, but it's nice to just have it as something that's just off the table that you don't have to worry about, you don't have to account for anymore. It's just like, yep, they got flashlights, I don't care. You know what I mean? It's just something you don't got to worry about flick pickups, you don't got to worry about facing a wall, you don't got to worry about downing a survivor in a better spot, you know. You can kind of just do whatever. I will say, out of probably 1,000 matches in the past year, there's probably one game where I was like, I wish I had Lightborne. And that was against a really, really, really good team. And they kept going down out in the open, and they all had flashlights, and I literally just didn't have an option. I couldn't flick pickup at all. I was trying to slug, but they would be W keying and stuff like that. And then I just decided to try to like slug them out to try and generate pressure, and couldn't make it happen. And Lightborne would have saved for that game, but I didn't have it. So yeah, other than that, I think it's kind of a wasted perk slot. Up next, we have Enduring from the Hillbilly also. Whenever you get stunned by a pallet, or whenever you get stunned by any means, actually, unless it's a pallet save. So if you're carrying a survivor and you get hit with a pallet or blinded by a flashlight, it's the normal stun duration. But if you're not carrying a survivor, you get blinded, or I guess that doesn't stun you, but you get hit with head on or you get hit with a pallet, it's 50% faster recovery. So instead of like a 3-second stun, it's 1.5 seconds, which is really nice. It allows you to disrespect pallets very heavily. And I'm a big fan of that playstyle, because if you respect the pallet, where do we put it? If you respect the pallet, close to the top of A. I actually like it better than Superior Anatomy. If you respect, the whole thing is, if you respect a pallet and the survivor doesn't throw it, they could get 1, 2, 3 more loops out of you, especially if you're a 110 killer. If you have Enduring and you just go right through it, and they drop it on you, 1.5 seconds, you're recovering, and then you're kicking the pallet and you're moving on. You know, they're not getting multiple loops. They're not getting anything more than 5 seconds out of you. It's honestly one of the best chase perks in the game, and I feel like a lot of people just don't realize that. It is definitely one of the best. Again, a problem with it, though, is people will often pre-drop pallets against you, but, you know, it's better than them greeting a loop and then getting like 20 more loops out of you. So, yeah. Up next is Shadowborn from Wraith. Anytime you're blinded, you move 10% faster for 10 seconds. Yeah, I'll put it right there. Well, I mean, 10% faster for 10 seconds. You got a survivor using Iron Will. They blind you out of pallet. You kick the pallet, and then you run straight forward at 125 for 10 seconds. You just lost them completely. You know what I mean? You get to move faster while you can't see anything. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm pretty good at tracking survivors with just the audio, but sometimes, you know, you make a mistake, you go the wrong way, and then what are you doing? You're sprinting the opposite direction for no reason. So, not a big fan of it. Requires you to be blinded. Doesn't even work with Lightborne. I was hoping you could stack them together. I know it says when you're blinded, but I was thinking maybe like since it still closes the beam anyways when you have Lightborne, maybe if like after 3 seconds it'll still activate it doesn't. So yeah. Alright, up next we got Beast of Prey from the Huntress. And when it comes to other, we'll put it right here. When it comes to other chase perks, I mean, it's not the absolute worst in my opinion. Basically, whenever you hit Bloodlust Tier 1 while in a chase, you become undetectable. But if you lose chase, you're detectable again. You know, sometimes you can use, sometimes not having a red stain is bad though, because you can use your red stain to mind game a survivor. This removes your red stain, which can make it harder as well. So it's like give and take in that regard. Like I said though, you lose chase, it does nothing. You have to be Bloodlust Tier 1, so it's 15 seconds in already. It's just not that great. A lot of killers can't use it either because their M2 powers, you know, deny Bloodlust, so yeah. Up next, we got Play With Your Food. I'll put it in the trash tier. Yeah, I'll put it in the trash tier. You have to be chasing the obsession. You have to lose chase with the obsession to gain a 5% haste. Literally every single action in this game damn near consumes a token, you know. That's obviously an exaggeration. If you miss, it consumes a token. If you hit, it consumes a token. You know, I'm just not a big fan of that stipulation. It encourages a very strange playstyle where you try to chase the obsession, and then once you're in a chase, you like moonwalk, chase them, and to try and drop chase, and then you try and find them again, and then get another token. It's just not good at all. They should honestly make it to where you only lose a token when you consume a health state. So if you actually injure somebody, then you lose a token. It's just not a good perk. I still haven't found any killer to really use it on. Besides Wraith, I guess, because you can chase your obsession and then cloak and instantly drop chase. And then be moving at like 180 while you're cloaked, you know, but I don't know. It's just not great. It's one of the worst chase perks in my opinion. All right, up next we got Noed. What can I say? I would say, you know what, let's... Yeah, we'll leave it. Man, actually. We'll make it S tier just because... It's an Instad Down effect. You're moving 4% faster the entire time. And yes, the totem does reveal itself to you now, but it also doesn't reveal itself to you until you've Instad Down somebody already. And then you can go find it and hook by it. You know, it's a really solid perk. It's kind of a crutch perk, honestly. A lot of survivors rely on it. I know when I first started playing the game, I pretty much never took it out of my kit. Like, I had it on for months and months and months. This is a general perk, by the way. Did I say where Play With Your Food was from? It's from Michael Myers. But yeah, no, it's definitely an S tier perk in my opinion. It does have the unfortunate side effect of pushing survivors out. So sometimes survivors will see you have no ed and just hang it up. You know what I mean? So yeah. Up next, we got Haunted Grounds from Spirit. Whenever a survivor cleanses the Haunted Grounds totem, everybody's exposed for 60 seconds. It's nice that it's a totem defending perk. It's a trap perk, and it allows you to instant down a survivor too in that 60-second time frame. And it does work with Undying, so you can have 2 minutes of insta downs. It's kind of inconsistent. Sometimes you pop Haunted Grounds and you get like a trillion downs with it. Sometimes Haunted Grounds gets popped and then everybody's hiding for 60 seconds and you don't find anybody at all. It's not great. It is really nice when it pops though right before you're about to M1 a survivor. Up next, Unrelenting. We don't even need to talk about it. Whenever you miss, you recover 33% faster. Garbage. Rapid Brutality from, or no, why did I said that earlier when I didn't mean to. Save the Best for Last from Michael Myers. Got nerfed very heavily, still one of the best perks in my opinion. Anytime you hit a survivor with a basic attack, you recover faster, 8% faster, 8 tokens, a maximum of 45%. Or no, it got nerfed actually, my bad. I don't even know the numbers on it anymore. Still really solid though, and it's unfortunate though, you hit the obsession, you lose 2 tokens. And now it's still good, but it's not as good as it used to be. Now that it got nerfed, the percentage rate went down, but still definitely one of the best. I think I like it better than Superior Anatomy, yeah. Actually, for a chase perk, yeah, I'll still put it in S tier, for sure. Fire Up. This one was actually slated to be getting changed. The problem with Fire Up, wait, I like it better than these. Yeah, the problem with Fire Up is you get 4% faster at all actions each time you lose a generator. And then by the time you've lost the 5th generator, you're 20% faster. Okay. You pick up 20% faster. You kick pallets 20% faster. I don't even think you vault 20% faster, honestly. No, you do. You vault 20% faster. There's something you do that's not 20% faster, though. What is it? Picking up and dropping survivors, breaking walls, pallets, and generators, vaulting windows. Okay. Yeah. I guess you don't hook 20% faster. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking there, but yeah. It's just not great. It's from Freddy. It requires you to lose 5 generators to be worth anything. And, you know, it's just, there's way better perks. I think it needs a change, and it's getting one soon, thankfully. Up next is Franklin's Demise. This one I have in the chase category because, you know, you can smack a flashlight out of a survivor's hand, and now they can't blind you at pallets anymore and hit you with Champion of Light and perks like that, confused and stuff like that. So this is solid. I'll put it, honestly though, I'll put it right here. It's kind of in the Lightborne territory where I think there's better options. It's nice, and it can stop toolboxes and gen rushings and things like that, but it's just, it's not great. It's from the Cannibal. I don't think I said that. Man, I'm terrible. I'm out of it. All right, up next we got Kudagra from Twins. Easy S tier perk. Easily above. I would put it at the top of S tier. Anytime a generator pops, you get 2 tokens. Every time you lunge, your lunge is 80% further. This can be really, really nice, really insane, allow you to hit a lot of things that you normally shouldn't be, and it makes looping a lot more difficult from survivors. It really punishes greedy survivors, absolutely. And if they fake out a pallet and then they keep running and you run through, you're guaranteed to get a hit the next time. The only problem is sometimes you don't want to use a stack and you kind of got to like breathe down the survivor's neck and just take a tiny little hit at him, you know. So it really works a lot better on M2 killers like Huntress and Trickster and things like that, who can really save those tokens as much as possible, in my honest opinion. But yeah, still a great perk all the way around. Up next, we got Overwhelming Presence from the Doctor. We'll put it right there. Anytime a survivor's in your tear radius, their item consumption is 100% increased. So that means, say they have a flashlight with 8 seconds of battery and you're kicking a pallet, they turn on the flashlight, and normally it would consume 3 seconds because it takes 3 seconds to blind, or 2 seconds because it takes 2 seconds to blind. Well, now it'll consume 4 seconds worth of battery because it doubles how fast the items are consumed. Obviously much better option. It's just not great, needs a rework. Up next we got Cruel Limits from Demogorgon. All windows are blocked for 60 seconds map wide after a generator is completed. Good, but not great. I'll put it at C tier. You know, it's nice that it blocks every window. So even a map like Azerov's, if they pop a gen while you're in a chase, they'll have no access to any windows at all for 60 seconds. You could honestly make this 90 seconds because some maps don't have any windows at all damn near. They got like 1 or 2. But yeah, I think if you make this 90 seconds, it would be like an A tier perk. But as it is right now, 60 seconds, a survivor can still kind of use enough pallets to get them by for the windows to unblock. But then again, I guess they did have to give up pallets earlier than they would have, so it's not bad. It's not great. I actually like it better than Haunted Ground. Don't know what I'm doing. All right, up next we got Nemesis. Anytime a survivor stuns you, they become the new obsession. Then they're oblivious for 60 seconds and their aura is revealed for 4 seconds. So, you know, you get stunned, they don't hear your terror radius anymore, and you see their aura. So it's a nice little anti-mind game perk. It's got a pretty long cooldown to it, but then being oblivious for 60 seconds is decent enough as well. I would put it right here, right above the whack, but yeah, that's from the Oni, by the way. Up next, we got Moner Abuse. 8 meters smaller terror radius when outside of chase, 8 meters bigger when inside of chase. I like this perk a lot. I'll put it right here. Actually, I'll put it right here because, you know, if you're playing any other killer, like any killer, an 8 meter terror radius smaller is going to be better on. Wesker's 40, now it's a default 32, you know? And then when he's in chase, it's 48. So that bigger terror radius can actually scare survivors off generators a little bit, you know, especially if they're W tiers when you're in a chase with another survivor, which can be pretty nice, honestly. But yeah, not a bad perk from the doctor. Up next, we got Dissolution from the Dredge. Anytime you injure a survivor, 3 seconds after injuring that survivor, a 20-second timer starts, and any survivor that fast vaults a pallet in that 20 seconds while in your terror radius breaks the pallet. So if 4 pallets are dropped and 4 survivors fast vault pallets that are all in your radius in that 20-second window, all the pallets will break, which, you know, it's never going to happen, but it doesn't have like a cooldown in that regard. You're really not going to get too much value out of it. Depends on the killer very heavily. A lot of the time, survivors aren't going to fast vault the pallet. This has the unfortunate side effect that it tells the survivor immediately that you have it, so they'll know not to fast vault it. They could slow vault it to stop it from activating. You could just make it vaulting a pallet by any means, and even then it still wouldn't be that great. Up next, we got Septic Touch from Dredge. Whenever a survivor stops healing, or their healing's interrupted, or they complete the healing, whatever it be, they're exhausted for 10 seconds while they're in your terror radius. 10 seconds of exhaustion isn't great. It has to be in your terror radius, and it only applies to the survivor that's the one doing the healing. So the healee, the one who's getting healed, isn't exhausted. So you're exhausting one survivor. Garbage. Absolutely garbage. This is basically a return to hook perk and chase the unhooker. I mean, that's all it is, honestly. Trash. All right, up next we got Genetic Limits. This is a better exhaustion perk. This is from the Singularity. Anytime you injure a survivor, they're exhausted for 8 seconds. I mean, if they have Sprint Burst, it's not going to do much. If they have any other perk, it's going to do a lot, as long as you hit them before, say, they hit a window or vault a pallet or drop off a long height. You know, and as long as you can keep the pressure up, 8 seconds is decent enough to where they can't just grind out their exhaustion back. That's a lot of holding still, honestly. We'll go ahead and put it... It just got buffed to where it was. It was absolutely awful before. We'll go ahead and put it at the top of B. Liquid Touch is definitely still better. Up next is Dark Devotion. Anytime you injure the Obsession, this is from the Plague, by the way. Anytime you injure the Obsession, your terror radius transfers to them for 30 seconds, and it's set to 32 meters. You know, pretty solid. I guess it helps because your terror radius will be on them, and then maybe you could switch targets, or just they might push other survivors off and whatnot. It does activate in chase. I don't necessarily think that it helps out in chase. I mean, you don't have a terror radius though, so that's something. But yeah, I'll put it right there. Forced Penance. Anytime a survivor's body blocking for another, you injure that survivor, they'll be broken for 80 seconds. The problem with Forced Penance is often, if you don't commit to that survivor that you hit, for whatever reason, they're going to be sitting on a generator for 80 seconds. So that's not great. But it does punish body blocking very heavily. And so I'll put it right there. 80 seconds of broken is pretty solid. Up next, we got Predator. Anytime you lose a chase, you see their aura for 4 seconds because it just got nerfed. 6 with lethal. You know, it's solid. It's passable. It's still insane on Nurse. We'll put it right here. And then we got Zanshin Tactics from the Oni. Did I say Predator was from Wraith? I don't know. I'm trash at this. Then we got Zanshin Tactics from Oni. Anytime a survivor drops a pallet, their aura is revealed for 8 seconds. 10 with lethal. Another really solid one. Better than Predator for sure. And I would put it... Where would I put it at? Aura reading's huge. You know, it's anti-mind game ability. I'll put it right there. Yeah. Up next, we got All Leaders from Ghostface. This, honestly, it just got buffed. It still has way too long of a cooldown. It really helps with mind gaming at windows and things like that. The cooldown really holds it back, so we'll put it right there below Predator. Obviously, that's from Goonface. Then we got Knockout. I'm just not a big fan of this perk. It's not trash. Excuse me. It's not trash. This is from Cannibal. I think I said that already, dude. What is my memory right now? It's from Cannibal. Anytime you down a survivor, their aura is hidden. And they recover 50% slower. Yeah, not a great perk. It really incentivizes slugging. It's a very toxic perk. It really needs a rework. I don't know why it hasn't got one yet. Strength-wise, though, in solo queue, it is insane. But in Swift, it's still decent. It's not as good, but we'll put it right here, actually. Up next, we got the third seal. Anytime you injure a survivor, they're blind permanently, forever, done, until the totem's gone. This is really good because Windows of Opportunity has like a 40% pick rate now, so you're pretty much guaranteed to have 2 survivors out of every 4 that have Windows of Op. And if a survivor's really crutching on Windows of Op, you can tell. As soon as you hit them with this perk, it'll be very obvious because their chase falls off dramatically. So it is really solid in that regard. It is a hex perk though. I'm not that big of a fan of it for that reason. So I'll put it right at the bottom of B. It's still really solid though and heavily slept on. Up next we have Blood Echo from Oni. Anytime you hook a survivor, all other injured survivors will be exhausted and hemorrhaging for 30 seconds. Again, not great. You have to have multiple survivors injured. This is basically only good on Plague and Legion. It's serviceable on other killers, but I think if they made this to something like whenever you hook a survivor for the next 60 seconds, any survivor you injure is exhausted for 60 seconds. I think that would be great. But yeah, as it is right now, it's great on Legion and Plague. Other than that, it's just not that good. It requires you to be injuring a lot of other survivors very consistently. So yeah, we'll put it right there. Up next is Strider. This is basically just a counter for Iron Will, and in that regard, it does a pretty good job. Other than that, if they're not running Iron Will, it makes them louder. It makes them a little easier to track through walls and stuff like that, but it's just not great. It makes their breathing louder too, which is trash. And then we got Bloodhound. Excuse me, Strider is from Nurse, by the way. Then we got Bloodhound from Wraith. Pools of blood are brighter. Yeah, so that's it. That's the chase perk tier list. I think I'll do the rest in a utility category. I'll just put it as utility because, I mean, they're all over the place. Some are stealth, but I don't want to do a stealth video because that would be like 5 perks. Some are or reading on Jins and info on Jins, but there's like 6 perks. So that would be like a 5-minute video. Some are anti-heal. There's like 3 anti-heal perks. 4 of them are in-game. They're just all over the map, so we're gonna throw those all into a utility category. I was gonna do that originally with these as well, but I figured I could come up with a chase perk category to kind of make it a little bit more streamlined, you know, so that way we don't have so many in a utility category, right? But yeah, that does it for this one. That was the killer chase perks tier list. Let me know what you guys think and if you agree or disagree with any of these and where you would put them personally. So yeah, that does it for this one. Thanks for watching. And thanks for 1,000 subscribers. I don't know what to do for it, honestly. If you guys have any ideas on what to do for 1,000 subscribers, especially, just let me know. I honestly have no idea. I know we hit it like a week ago, but I've been working so much. I just haven't really been, as you can tell, I mean, my videos have slowed down dramatically since I've been working all these 12s, but yeah. So thanks for all the support, and yeah, thanks. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.